My name is A. Williams. I'm the educator here at Williamsburg Presbyterian Church. And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the idea of risk and failure within faith. So often when we talk about things like faith, we talk about them in such a way that we want to do what is right. We want to do the things that are good and best and perfect. And in life, we don't really get to do things perfectly. We live in a world where a lot of things aren't as they should be or aren't as they could be. And because of that, and because we all have thoughts based on our own experiences of how to interpret that which is right, that which is correct, we often end up on different pages. And often that leads to divisive fighting with each other. But I want to talk about this in the aspect of how it affects us individually. As individuals and as a community, we have to be willing to take risks and risk failure. And we have to be okay whenever things fail because they don't really fail. They just don't turn out the way we expected them to. So, whenever we make a choice to try something new in ministry, it's often based on the idea that somebody else has done something similar and it seems like the right thing to do for our congregation or in our place of worship. We really liked it, we really got something out of it, and we think that we can come up with a way to interpret that again for a different location. This works a lot of the time, but also a lot of the time it doesn't. A lot of the time we find that the experiences of people aren't the same as we expected them to be. Sometimes it's a specific thing within a specific church that keeps them from doing things that we think would be helpful. Sometimes it's what's been important in the past to the people who have been there. Sometimes it's what's going on in the present within a community. No matter what it is, there are things that keep things that have worked from working again. But more than that, there's a need for us to do the things that Scripture shows us that we need to do, which is try something new and different. What happens time and again within the religious institutions of the Bible is that people become so protective of them and so worried that they're going to make a mistake and screw up and push God away from them that they aren't willing to take the risk of trying that which is new. They look at the world through eyes that say, well, God's going to tell us what to do. There's a story that floats around social media time and again about the man who is drowning and whenever boats come to save him continually says, no, I trust God is going to save me. And when God asks him why he didn't take the boats, he's like, well, I thought you were going to save me. And God says, I sent you the boats. We often don't look in front of us for the things that are happening. And I look at the world that we're in at this very moment, a world of COVID and of change, and where so much of what we expected church to be for us in this moment in time isn't what it is. We don't gather together the way that we expected to be able to. We don't do mission the way that we expected it to. We can't go and learn the way we expected it to. But even though all these expectations aren't turning out the way we wanted or the way we expected or the way we hoped, it doesn't mean that the world and that God has turned away from us. Rather, it is a reminder that it is time to try new things, to take new risks, to step out beyond what has been, and to try something new. And sometimes whenever we try something new, it still doesn't turn out the way we expected. Sometimes it turns out that that's not what's needed. But there's still things to learn from these experiences. We must listen to our own hearts and the voices and hearts of all of those within our community as we seek to find new ways to connect. And we seek to work from a this should work view to a, well, now that we've all come together, this can work view of how to do what's next, of how to do what's needed now. I encourage us all to look at things not as how do we return, not as how do we continue, but to look at things through the eyes of risk with an understanding that failure is an option. Failure is always an option, but failure isn't the end. It is what we learn from these things and what we move forward with that helps us determine exactly what some of the unspoken and underlying needs of ourselves and our community are. Let us go take risks together. Hope you all have a great day.